Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Another episode, Her Business, Her Voice, Her Conversation. As promised, and as is custom, I always bring you the previously recorded live stream, Brunch with Margo Lovett and Friends. So today I'm presenting the March Brunch. We celebrated closing out Women's Month. Guest was September Smith, and yes, I introduced our new co host, Deborah Thorne. And together we spoke about being a woman in 2022. We look back at some women that influence and do influence us greatly. So, what's your take on the women that influence you? Who are you looking up to today? And I pose the question, who are you, dear lady? Who are you influencing and leading today? Brunch with Margo Lovett and Friends. Stand by. Oh my goodness. You know what? I can't believe now I see that we are live. I can't believe I I was thinking I'm forgetting something. This is crazy. I kept thinking I'm forgetting something. This has been a turnaround month, a crazy, crazy month. So you know what? I'm going to bring in the intro and let's just begin from the beginning. I kept thinking I'm forgetting something. Yeah, I forgot to go live. So welcome everybody. Here's the intro. We're going to start in a moment. You know, if you can't laugh at yourself, then there's something really wrong. So we got started out with a an opportunity to laugh. And that's what happens when we have brunch with friends. Things happen. We bring on our favorite beverages and we just laugh. Sometimes we almost cry. But this is a lighthearted time, and we are going to close out International Women's Month, Women's History Month. We're just going to close this month out and we're going to talk about the women who have impacted our lives, who have greatly inspired us. And I'm going to bring on the Information Diva, and we have another guest in the wings. We're going to bring her on in a minute. Hey, how are you, madam?
Glad to be here. Glad to be here. Glad we're now live.
Oh, we are live. I kept thinking, it seems like I'm forgetting something.
That's what you kept saying. And I'm like, okay.
Today is, I'm telling you, but I can't wait to hear from you. First of all, let's let everybody know that you have graciously said yes to being the co-host here on Brunch with Margo Lovett and Friends. I never had a co-host before, but it just seemed like it was the right thing to do. You just, the conversations just mesh together. And you're a podcaster, I'm a podcaster, entrepreneur. So it just seemed like, yeah, let's do this.
And between the two of us, we know everybody.
Oh so, my God. Yes.
that was the point. It's like, okay, and what I'm all about collaboration, and I really want to include everybody. I want people to understand that we're not in competition with a soul, but we can collaborate with everybody and make all this stuff so much bigger and so much better. So it is my honor and my pleasure to serve with you. So thank you very much for the opportunity to serve. Thank you.
Wow. I tell you, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's get some men on here. Let's get some. We don't want anybody to think that it's just for women. We don't want anybody to think that it's just for Black folks. Okay. Not true. Not at all. Brunch with, we all have friends that are our friends, our friends. There are people who have been on your podcast, people who have been on my podcast, who have inspired my socks off. And I consider them to be friends. If you ask to do something, they're there. If you can do something for them, they sure know you're there. So the person that I'm going to bring on to now, and you never met, I don't know that you met September.
No, I haven't. I love her name. I think her name is awesome, awesome, awesome. Okay, so I'm looking forward to it.
She is a podcaster, and she has an awesome show. I think that she hails out of Canada. Maybe now she's in Mexico. She's going to set the record straight. But let's bring September Smith on. Woo woo!
Hey, nice to meet you, Deborah.
And she has that, she got that nice voice and everything.
Okay, and I love your first name. I just do. I do.
Oh, thank you.
Wonderful.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. It was so inspiring listening to you guys as you were getting started. And what a great theme for the rolling out the end of March, Women's History Month. Yeah. Women that inspired us. I'm so excited to talk about that and hear who it is that inspired you.
Well, I tell you what, first of all, anybody have any announcements before we dig into the conversation? Free range, you can't. Let's. If you have something coming,
I always want people to think in terms of the Leverage Conference for speakers, authors, and entrepreneurs. It is our 4th year. We haven't opened up the speaker thing yet, but think about it. We're talking about going to the metaverse while we're in the conference. Just an opportunity for women. Particularly women, men are welcome, but we focus on women who are speakers, authors, and entrepreneurs, and how you leverage being that person in doing other things. We define leverage as networking plus opportunity. How about networking plus collaboration equals opportunity, and that's leverage. So we want you to be on the lookout for it. The Leverage Conference happens November 10th, 11th, and 12th, and it is our 4th year. So that's my announcement from now on. Thank you.
I heard that. What about you, September?
I actually have I can't announce it yet, but I have a big event coming up, a 3-day virtual event coming up in June that I am like super, super excited about. But yeah, I can't announce yet because I haven't got the speakers out there yet, but I'll let you know as soon as I'm able to say, probably in about 2 weeks.
2 weeks. Yeah. Oh my goodness. This is exciting because when you put stuff together, you two ladies, when you all put something together, it is like, boom.
And collaboration, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. That's my word. Yes. So we'll have to talk and collaborate after we get through here and figure out how I can help and how you can help me. So yes, we're good.
Yeah, Let's do it. Most definitely. You know, ladies, I want to try something different because we do have this nifty feature here. I'd like to add a little background music, like we are really somewhere having brunch, and I promise we'll
with our favorite beverage.
I have water today. I
didn't get anything. I just said, just don't cough.
Well, that's me. I've been so dry. I thought, you know what? No wine, no whiskey, nothing. You got to have some water today because I don't know what's going on with your boys, but you know, so I thought we'd just try a little bit of this music. Not driving is the one, and I'll get it down as low as possible. Then we'll go ahead and get started because this is good. I love you two ladies, and I know we're going to have a good conversation. Last time Deb, let me tell you, when I was on September's show, there was I was so free to speak about where I've been, and then the Lord was able to just really show me what happened, why it happened, and September, I'll never forget that.
It was amazing.
It was like
I had tears. It was It was quite. I've never had an interview like that. That was amazing.
Lets you know when you're in the right places. That's all.
That's it. You know, and that we should all make spaces for women to be able to experience that kind of freedom, because we never know. We as women, we carry so much, and we address so much, and we tamp down so much until it's crazy. And when we are interviewers or we are in a space where we are being interviewed and it's all about the moment, there's something so magical and sacred about that space. I always want to have that kind of space for anybody who comes on. Even here, I want us to know that we can talk about anything, we can be about anything. And, well, I shouldn't say anything, but that as much as possible, what we want to communicate to others, that we have that opportunity. So I just want to get that out. And let me try a little music here, and then we're going to jump on in. Who wants to go?
Well, I want to say we don't want to start anything talking women's history unless we talk about our brand new Supreme Court justice.
Oh my God. So what a way to end the month. Oh my God, so inspiring.
Okay. So to quote Whoopi Goldberg, no matter how you feel about her, Sister Friend is going to be a judge on the Supreme Court. She's going to be the first African-American woman on the Supreme Court. She has credentials like you would not believe. And the fact that they questioned her credentials was truly offensive to me, because you're questioning her. And this lady, I saw a chart online that showed her credentials and the rest of the court's credentials. She checked every single box.
Yes.
And the rest of them checked one or two boxes. Okay. So it's like, for me, that is Women's History Month. We are currently making history, each of us making history in our own right, but we definitely want to support that woman as she steps out and does something for the first time in all the world. Yes, she will be Supreme Court Justice. Yes.
Break the bias, break the barriers. What an amazing way to end the month. Oh my God. I could not bear. I mean, I'm in Mexico, so we don't get as much television coverage of that, but I just got a whiff of what was going on with those hearings, and I thought, I can't bear it. I just can't bear it. So I had to wait. I knew it was going to be brutal, but how joyous when she came through. I was thinking, no, they're going to take it away from her. They're going to take it away from her. She got it.
They would have if they could have, but they can't. Yes.
Oh, it's an amazing moment in history.
It is. And to watch her stay so poised and just composed, and just the stoic woman that all of us strive to be up under that brutal scrutiny. It was unorthodox. I don't think that a man could have stood up under it. Oh, totally disrespected. Totally.
But did you see her daughter's face? When you saw her daughter's face,
beautiful?
You know that it's worth it all, because she has shown her daughter, all of our daughters,
exactly
us.
Yep.
This is how we behave. As Michelle Obama says, when they go low, we go high. People like me say, when they go low, I can go lower if you let me. But she said, no. She maintained her poise. Yeah. She sat there and let you say, they interrupted her. They, just nasty stuff. Told her she was articulate. You think? She went to Harvard. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's like, okay. And she just took all that in. Yeah. And watching her daughter looking at her husband kiss her on the forehead, like, we got this. It's like, okay. She is going to be Supreme Court Justice. So yes.
Man.
It's thrilling. It's just thrilling. It does. Gosh. I mean, it's days later and I'm still getting goose pimples and tearing up. It's amazing. Oh, the precedent that's setting. And as you said, Deborah, the example, which what we're talking about, the women that inspired us, she's going to be an example to women of all ages.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like what she did. But one of the things that when Margo had said what we'd be talking today about was the women that have inspired us, I realized that, and I couldn't get it down to one. Forget it. It couldn't happen. But every one of them, I looked at them and it was all their voice. They all were women with a powerful, articulate voice, with the tenacity and the strength to go out there and break through barriers. Yeah. And the thing with the new Supreme Court Justice, Ketanji Brown Jackson, that she had to rein her amazing voice in for all those days of that hearing. I had to wonder, what kind of therapy, what kind of relaxation techniques did she have to use to go in there day after day after day to be so abused and so attacked and so maligned?
But did you see her mother?
No, I didn't.
Her mother was in the audience, and I imagine as a Black mother, me saying, It's okay. I got
Yeah.
it.
Is that what
It's
the mom was
okay.
saying?
Because the mother was just sitting there. The mother was equally as stoic. The mother didn't crack a grin, didn't
How
just sat there.
offended would you be as the mother? How
Oh,
dare
Yes,
you
I
treat my
would be.
daughter like that? Yeah.
Yeah.
I've only
Outraged.
seen a still of the parents sitting off to the side there. Yeah, I missed all that stuff. I just couldn't be there for the hard stuff. I'm such a coward.
well, it is hard. It is hard. You can only do it in bits. Let me say that I can only do it in bits and pieces because we are still living our lives every day. We're still having our voices muffled, shuffled, scuffled. Okay,
Mhm.
having people say things that you know are incorrect.
Yeah.
And if you challenge them on them, then they say you got a whole nother agenda. No, I'm just calling you on your wrong stuff. I don't have any agenda. So, it's doing with that. One of my mentors says, you never discuss politics in public. And I understand why, as a business owner, you may not want to, but that's who I am. And I wrote an article a couple of years ago now. To be silent is to be complicit. And it was when they were having Black Lives Matter. And because I wasn't making a voice, people assumed that I was going along with what was happening. It was like, no, 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 no. So if it cost me a few customers or a few people who thought they were my friends, that's okay. I'm good with that because you need to know the kind of woman that I am. And I am a woman, a Black woman first before I am anything. And, I hold true to who I am, what I believe. I am so proud of this woman for stepping up because I don't know that I would even step to something like that because of all the shenanigans that go on with it. But, I think that gives an opportunity for all of us to speak our truth, to have our voices heard. And I think that that's really important, letting the younger women know that I'm not going to sell my voice for a ticket to my conference. I'm just not going to. So if you can't buy a ticket to the conference because I voice the opinions I do, I really didn't want you in my circle anyway, because I only deal with people who can deal with the truth, who are viable people who understand. So I'm going to be quiet for a while because y'all got me worked up. Okay.
Yeah.
No, go for it.
I understand. I understand. There were days when I make my screen larger. There were days when I just couldn't watch. I thought, how dare you? This is so unfair. I wasn't surprised, but I was ashamed of those and embarrassed for those that dared to do that. Those men. I thought, I hope that people see you for who you really are. But you know what? Let's I'm gonna back away from that. Let's move away.
We'll just celebrate it.
Yeah,
right?
we're celebrating.
She came through the fire. She came through the fire, and against all odds, she made it. And I'm just thrilled. What an amazing way to end the month.
Yeah.
Yes.
Trailblazer.
What are we going to do next year?
Okay.
Who knows? Man, the way this world is running and things are going, who knows? Something big, though. I wouldn't be surprised. Something really big. But it is now, it is 3:20 already. Can you believe it? And I want to hear from you ladies. I had the same problem. Who do I say really put impact in my life and inspiration? I couldn't get it down to one person. So who wants to lead this conversation out, which is really a hard conversation?
Mm-hmm. I would say this has been actually an incredible week because in the United States, you're right, Margo, I am Canadian. I am living in Mexico, so I'm kind of bouncing on either side of your country. But the whole world watches it closely. This was a really impactful week because the United States lost one of the most amazing women. I mean, people get to an age where they're going to die, but it's like, oh my God, Madeleine Albright is dead. Like, she was such an inspiration to me. The first female Secretary of State of the indisputably of the free world, of the largest country in the world, the strongest superpower in the world. Yeah. And the way she strode across the world stage and the barriers she broke, and the way, with her authority and articulateness, but managing to get in humility in a way that was just like purely statesmanship.
Yeah.
Taken to the highest level. And I just recently in a program had used a quote because the program was all about use your voice. Like, if not your voice, whose voice? We need to hear, if you've got a message. And I'd used your quote that for so long, I had no voice. I was afraid to use it. And now that I found my voice, you can't stop me, or I'm never going to stop using it.
Heard that.
And that voice. So we lost her and we gained a new Supreme Court justice. So yeah, those were two people on my list.
Right.
How about you, Deborah?
Well, and it's so funny because it reminds me, remember when we were in school and they'd ask you, who do you admire? Who do you want to be like? And I always struggled with that because it was like, no, I'm doing my own thing, my own way. But when I look, two come to mind. First, Michelle Obama, okay? Another woman who stepped up with her voice and spoke in a way, because again, here, and maybe this is what I'm supposed to learn, how to humbly accept the position I'm in without going off on the deep end when others do. Okay. When others go go low, we go high. No, Michelle, we tell them what we really think, okay? But listening to her, learning what she taught her daughters, paying attention to that lesson, that people are always going to go low. That's who they are. That's it. But when I let them take me down with them, they're changing who I am. And so Michelle Obama would be the one that I would put out. And I have another one. Do I give my other one now?
Yes.
Oh, yes. Okay. Maya Angelou. Okay.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Because Maya Angelou said things the way I wish I knew how to say them. But when all else fails, still I rise. You can do whatever you think you want to do to me. You can say whatever you want to say about me. Still I rise. And so when I take and I guess where I'm really, the proudest right now is as a Black woman, these Black women have stepped up in some really difficult times. And when we listen to the senators who dare say the kinds of things that they've said, what I want to challenge people is those who agree with them, think about why you agree with them and what's behind that. Those who don't agree with them, speak up and let people know you don't agree. Because now is the time for each of us to have a voice, for each of us to share our voices with younger women. Let younger women know that your voice is important, and look at some of the things that other people have done. I can see the young lady's face, can't think of her name. The one who, she's won a Peace Prize and all for getting education in Afghanistan, is it? You know what I'm talking, you guys know what I'm talking
Malala.
about. Yes, Malala. Okay, that young woman, she has a voice. So what about the rest of us? We're sitting here talking about the color of our fingernails and what we gonna drink and go eat. No. Use your voice for good. That's all. Yeah. You got a voice, let's use it.
I think one of the impediments to that, though, is that, like, as Margo was saying earlier about, going high, going low, and the sophistication of the propaganda and the disinformation, which, you can stay high, but they're going to be getting all kinds of low stuff out there that unless you address it, it goes unproven, but believed. Yeah. And
that's a problem.
Yeah. And so many women have been kind of pushed into this corner of like, oh, if I actually say anything that I really think about, like, am I going to be trolled? Am I going to be shut down? Is it worth the trauma? Like, there's a whole new set of parameters that we did not experience in our young womenhood for using our voice.
And it's a shame.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, again, those women, and I was going to add Greta Thunberg to that list of like young women who are stepping up. Yeah. And just saying things that makes you think like, gee, if this teenager can say this, what's wrong with me? But there's such a challenge. So it is a bit safer to talk about fingernail polish and fashion and all that bullshit, meaningless stuff. Sorry, Margo.
I have to
There you
agree. I have to agree. And I was listening to a something on NPR, a expose on NPR, and they were speaking with women. What is it like to live in Iran now that the Taliban has taken over? It
Afghanistan.
was Afghanistan.
Mm-hmm.
It was fascinating. So they were getting ready to be able to go back to school, and out of the blue, no, we can't go to school. 6th to 12th grade, no, we're not moving forward with that. And I think we take these things for granted. The fact that we can say what we want to say, the fact that we can go to schools, we can go to university. There was one woman who spoke about just buying as many books as she could and just rationing out what she was going to read, how long she was going to read, because she wants to learn. All of them want to learn. And it is shameful to me that we care about fashion, we care about that next trend when we are not taking opportunities to speak out. I think that, personally speaking, I think everybody ought to have a podcast or something of the kind. You should be out here letting people hear what you have to say, take that responsibility and that commitment on. But to hear other women in other parts of the world speak and taking into consideration of what we don't take into consideration, we just say, we're so used to it. We're nonchalant about it.
Bread and circuses, though, they've got us so, like hardwired into the bread and circuses of like Instagram and all the frivolous, TikTok, and which is not to say that we shouldn't be having fun and connecting with people and having a laugh and all that kind of stuff. But, like, who was it? Like 2000 years ago, one of the Roman writers said, like, give them bread and circuses and you can do what you want if you keep the masses busy. And that's how I see all this. Keep them busy with all this meaningless crap.
And how many people have not read a book since they left high school? Okay, yeah. That is crazy. We talk about podcasts. I do the same thing about books. I believe everybody should write at least one book. History is going to be told by the person who writes the book.
Mm-hmm. Okay? Yes.
And we already know that we see things differently than other people. So write the history as you understand it.
It's funny.
Let that be told.
I had a podcast episode. I've got 2 podcasts. I've got the She's All That, interviewing amazing women like Margo. But then I've got podcast guesting for business growth. And one of the things I talked about is, and it was a Women's Day conversation with an organization, Fempreneurs, and we talked about, like, history is written by those who have the utter audacity to grab the mic, to pick up the pen, and then insist that it's the truth. Mm-hmm. And if you just stand by and you look at it and you go like, but that's not true, but you don't say anything, if nobody challenges it, it becomes the status quo. And everybody's like, well, okay, that's the way it is then. So we have the tools right now, like we never have before in history.
And if we don't say something, then the lies go on. That people can say it's just the wild, wild west again. Yes. Where do we stand for what the truth is? The truth.
More scary, Margo. More scary is the Third Reich. Yeah. Because the propaganda minister Goebbels had a whole thing. It was like, and he kind of picked off a Japanese proverb, which was a lie told 99 times becomes the truth. You just keep saying it. You say it loudly, and it becomes the truth, and you control their thinking.
Let me tell you what that we all bought into. How many of us heard and believed that you needed to do 10,000 steps a day for health? Okay. Yeah. That turned out to be a marketing strategy. There is no science to that. That's marketing. Okay.
So that was that marketing for like a Fitbit or something?
It was marketing. I don't remember. It's some company in China that did the marketing. Okay. Oh. And they wanted people to do, and it probably was a Fitbit or something like that. They wanted people to do these steps, and they said it over and over again that you needed 10,000 steps. I think it's Columbia Medical School just did a study. It's 6,000 steps. Okay.
Are you kidding me?
Oh, interesting.
Okay. But we bought in because, once again, like you said, it's repeated. Yep. It sounds good. It's repeated. And that for true. Me, that for me is very scary as we are in the world right now. Very, very scary. I'm one of those people that can go down the thing about, superstitions and all these conflict things. But, we really do need to be paying attention to what's happening in other parts of the world and understanding that, but for the grace of God is us. What stops this from happening here? Little things like, do you have cash in your house? Are you going to depend on the internet? Okay. We had the internet go down last week for several hours. And that's when you really realize how much you depend on it. No television, no phone other than our cell phones, no internet, because okay. And so what said to me was, okay, I hope that's a problem at the company, but what if it's an international thing that
A
somebody
cyber
is doing?
attack. Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
for real.
And that's what
And that is so possible. It is like that's been possible for years.
Yeah.
and it's real possible right now.
Yeah.
Really.
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, I don't want to see it happen, but I just would not be surprised. And that's scary that we would even have to think along those terms, but we do. I think in September you said something that was really, really, and I think it was you who brought up the fact that we need to pay attention to what's going on in the globe, because when at the end of the day, when we listen to different people speak in the UK, in China, in Spain, we listen to these folks. We all women have the same concern. We all have the same drive. We all have the mothers leaving the Ukraine. They're taking their pets, they're taking their kids, they're taking a little bag that will just hold anything. We all just want to be able to have security and water and food and care for our families. And if we look at the cities of Ukraine, they didn't look that. We look at some cities around here, there's not that much difference. It's like, wow, what happened there? It's very possible here.
Oh, hell yeah. I mean, not to take this Women's Day thing too far off track, but in the 90s, I was traveling through Eastern Europe and was in a train with some women from what had not, it was still Yugoslavia. It hadn't fallen apart yet. And they were like schooling me on, they said, war is coming. It's going to be brutal. War is coming. And I was like, they were a little younger than me. And I was thinking, nah, no. Because and you hear it now, people are going, it's 2020. What is with this war stuff? It's like, oh, seriously? You really think that suddenly war's gone? There's no vaccine for that. And it can so easily happen. The crumbling of the USSR, it was, if we're old enough to remember, we looked at that as like this huge, possibly bigger than the States and maybe stronger than us, I'm not American, but, and then over the course of a couple of months, it imploded. And, you have to really keep your eye on things and never assume that, it can't happen here.
No, we can't. We can't. But as women, we have to hold our ground and think for ourselves, not what they say, not even necessarily what mama said. The times have changed so, and everything is sped up. So we have to keep our feet on the ground and be able to read what's going on, because we do have families. We are the eyes and ears for our families. Yeah, we have men in our lives, but it takes two to navigate in this world anymore. What do you ladies say about that?
Well, one thing about your mother, she's wrapped up in her own era of propaganda and narrative, like the things that we learned in school that we now is like, what? Well, they taught us that? What was that? What version of history was that? Each generation has its own story. So yeah, as much as we love our mothers and respect them, you have to kind of take that with a grain of salt too. Sorry, Deborah, I'm talking too much. Over to you.
No. I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, I just want it to be better. That's all I can, come up with. It has to be better. We have to be aware. We have to make a step forward in the right direction. It is a sad thing that we are looking at war right now. That's ridiculous, in my opinion. I firmly believe that every child on this planet should have a roof over their head, food to eat, and education and healthcare. That's my personal belief. I don't care who you are. Yeah. You should have that. This world is rich enough for you to have that. And yet we're still fighting over the little minute things. My country border is here. Your country border is there. And
And those people don't deserve health care because, like, what? Go ahead, explain that to me. Because the world, when you said richer, the world is richer if every child is properly taken care of and grows up healthy, ready to give back to society.
Absolutely. And there's enough for everybody, which is why I don't believe in competition. There's enough for everybody. If you think I've got too much and I can share with you, let me know what you want me to share.
Yeah.
Because it's available. It's available. I'm not having it this way. And, as a parent, as a grandparent, I don't want this kind of world. Okay. I want a better world. I want the world to be better because I was here. So when I write a book, when I do a talk, when I do a podcast, I want to show that we're going to make this world better.
That's right.
I'm really feeling for the mothers in Ukraine. But I tell you, they got a grandmother over there. She's after my own heart. Walked up to a Russian sailor and asked him, "What the F are you doing here?" Okay, my girl, go home, talk to your mama. Okay. Yeah. And it's like, yes, you have to say what you believe and do what you're going to believe. And I think that is something, again, when we look at women who we, are inspiring us, that grandmother in Ukraine inspires me because she's like, you got the gun and everything, but you're not going to quiet me. Okay. And he's standing there with a gun and she told him exactly what she thought. Yes. And
even if it caused her death, she had her say, was going to have her say.
She had her say, absolutely.
I think that when we look at Black Lives Matter, and I was in Leimert Park, Africa Town yesterday, and Black Lives Matter were there, and they were really calling out the officials who are going for the mayoral office and city council, and some of those folks were there, and they were really wanted to hear from them. I think that when we look at Black Lives Matter and we look at all the folks that went into the streets protesting during the pandemic, that says a lot. And I don't think we'll ever go back to just being quiet and just letting things just float along. I think a woman is always going to have her say, be it the grandmother or be it my mama or be it me. I don't think we can sit still and just see things happen and say, not me, not my business. Oh, well. What do you all think about that?
You know what? I would have to say the thing about, like a woman has to say what she's going to say and our right to speak and all that kind of stuff. It is not a straight linear line upwards. And again, we are old enough to remember when things were busting out and the ERA was possibly going to be a thing. Yeah. And and women were just like pushing through and making things happen, and boundaries were being pushed way further than they ever had, and rights were won. Yeah. And then we got lulled into, and it was it was not coincidental. If you look at kind of the political tactics, we got lulled into this thing of it like, oh, it's all over. Kind of like when Obama became president. There, racism's over. Done. Yes. Okay, good. Next. Like, yeah. And if you're not vigilant, those rights and those hard-won freedoms will disappear. And when you look at that, like the 1,000 cuts, what's happening, the taking away of rights to vote, the right to reproductive freedom, the marginalization of communities. Like we cannot just assume that it's, that's all done. Okay, next. And when somebody starts talking about it, they very sophisticatedly go like, oh, are you still talking about that? Well, if it's not finished, then we're still talking about it.
But why do we still have to talk about it?
Because it's not done.
Because it should be over. And why do you keep bringing it up?
I know. Gosh. Yes. Like she's a one-hit wonder. Like that's all she talks about. Yes. It's still a thing. It's still impacting lives. And in fact, we're losing ground.
We are. And on so many levels. And that makes me think of, I could not come today with just one name. Of course, my mama, my sister, I miss my sister dearly. She really inspired me. But the big picture encompasses everybody that you all have been talking about. And these are women that are consistently showing up. The ones that consistently show up inspire me and impact me. And there's too many people to where I can just say this one and that one, but I can never just sit in my chair and say nothing and act like stuff is all right. The BS is all right. It's not. If it's not, it's not. And then my own beliefs, I have to stand up for those, what I believe to be true. Maybe it's not popular, or maybe somebody's not going to want to listen. Maybe somebody won't buy anything from me ever again, but what happened, what I saw happen in that chamber with our new justice, I was embarrassed for the men that were putting themselves out there the way they did. I thought, you don't even see how off you are. You don't even see to be embarrassed. I mean,
they've got to. They've absolutely, like, you watch stuff like that and you think like, oh, you can't not know how disgusting and hateful you are. And I have to say, on top of what you said, Margo, it's not just like embarrassed for them. A lot of people who are allies and friends in the United States were embarrassed for the United States. It's like that this kind of travesty, this kind of hatred and treatment of somebody of such an elevated status and achievement and accomplishment can be treated this way.
Yeah.
It was so ugly.
Yeah. It was, but racism is like that. It just picks up, and the part that I think that is the saddest to me is that if you were to pull these people or the women in their lives and talk about it, well, no, I'm not a racist. It's just that we're losing so much. Okay, do you understand? You lost
equality. Equality feels like you've lost something when you're used to having all the cards.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And so that's where they're coming from. And one part side of me wants to almost feel sorry for them, but it's like, look at what things have been so unbalanced for so long.
Yeah.
You can't see that. For you to take this Harvard graduate and tell her she speaks eloquently, really?
So condescending.
Okay. Oh. Yes, you speak well, and yes, you went to Harvard, but okay. And just not good. Just not good. I just want us so badly to move forward. I want us so badly, because when we talk about, are things over? No, we had women's suffrage. We're going backward. We're not going forward.
And the ERA hasn't passed yet.
Yes. So, and it's not gonna,
so it's like, almost 50 years.
It won't pass.
Yeah. And we do these things, and yet we have women, bless their hearts, who believe for a variety of religious reasons that they must follow their husbands. And I thank God that my religious belief doesn't support that. Okay.
Who wrote them rules?
Okay.
Oh, man.
I do understand being subjective. However, you need to understand what that means. Okay. And how it plays out. But when you look around, what really concerns me more than the women is their daughters. What's going to happen with their daughters? What are they going to understand? How are they going to make this? Already marriage barely exists in our country. People don't get married. That's not what they do. So the institutions that we depended on don't exist. And so, I am absolutely concerned about how we go forward, what's going to happen, how people are going to learn, how are our children going to learn? There's this whole thing that children are too young to learn about racism, but other children aren't too young to experience it. Excuse me?
Yeah.
Okay. So, And as a Black mother, I got a chance to have that conversation with my son. I remember, quite frankly, he had learned about Martin Luther King, and he came home telling me about it. I went, okay. And I said, you do know that there's some people who don't like you simply because you're Black. Well, first of all, he said, it looks brown to me. I said, yes, your skin is brown, but we're considered Black people. And he went, oh, okay. And I said, they just don't like you because of the color of your skin. And his response, he was 4 years old. He said, I didn't do nothing to them. I said, exactly. Yeah. And, you didn't do anything to them. And you're going to be the best person you can be, but you need to know that those people do exist. And this is how we handle it. If I have to teach my 4-year-old that he has to protect himself, you got to teach your 4-year-old that my 4-year-old has to protect himself. I'm good with that. And it's just, where we are.
But I think we're going to be okay. I think back about the rainbow of people who took to the streets during George Floyd, that whole all summer. And they were young people. And that's my hope, that they will not be silent, that those young women will not be silent, and they will influence the men in their lives to tell the truth and stand up for the truth. There were so many people in the streets everywhere. It was a global event.
Yeah.
And I don't think that we will ever be the same. I mean, it was there. Nobody can lie and say that there were one or two people in the streets. Yeah, there were opportunists. Of course, they're always going to be there. But I'm hopeful when I think back about the young women who were out there. And the circumstances were not that good. In Africatown, yesterday they were talking about police brutality during the protests, and how people were done. They were handled quite harshly, here in LA. And that was an issue that came up yesterday. But despite all of that, those young women and the men, they were out there. And I don't want to forget that.
That's so beautiful to see.
It was inspirational.
I have to say, like, when you talk about the young women coming out, I was so thrilled to see, and I've seen it before here, being here on Women's Day in Mexico. Mm-hmm. I've actually organized Women's Day events in the past, mostly in Japan, where I lived for 15 years. Very disappointed at how it's celebrated in my country. It's no kids. It's not about shoes and nail polish. Damn it! It's a day of protest. It's a day of acknowledging that stuff needs more work. But here, it was young women. It was some older women, and there were kids, and there were grandmas and moms. But it was mostly women, like teenagers, 20s and 30s. They were out in thousands, and that's just here in this small city I live in. It was just so thrilling to see. We have to have more of that. It has to become fashionable to stand up and say, okay, wait a minute. No, this is not okay. And that is okay. And I'm not going to just to make you feel comfortable about it, just kind of not say anything because it's an uncomfortable conversation.
Yeah. But I think
social media helped that.
Yeah.
There was a lot for social media for International Women's Day. And I'm going to have to put you in touch with some folks from Canada, because I know some folks from Canada who did some stuff. So, yeah.
Good.
Have to do that. But,
I mostly saw it was another Hallmark card event or something. It's that is no, this is not battle cry, but this is a day of protest. Yes. Traditionally,
break the bias.
Exactly.
What are you doing that breaks the bias? What bias? Because we did an event asking women to talk about the bias that they felt and what they did for it. And we had people from, I want to say 4 or 5 countries talking about it on a podcast.
I wish I'd known about that.
Oh, girl, I'll send that to you.
Okay.
See, you know what? We are one. See, this is why I love our technology. This stuff exists, and we don't go backward. If we use the technology, we have the ability to really change the world, and that's what I'm hoping we will do.
Mm-hmm.
Let's use it. Let's max it out. Let's use it every day. I mean, I feel like I'm going to go to the grave as a warrior. I really am. I am not going to be quiet about too much of anything. Nope.
Well, it's too late. The quiet time for me, anyway. I'm on level 7, as everybody knows. It's it's too late now. No, the quiet time was before, when I could lose a job. I can lose a job. Okay, you can't take my job. You can't take my business. You can't take my family. I don't have little children. All those things that put you in a vice that say you can't talk. I don't have any of those. So now you get to hear what I really think and who I really am. I try to do it in a respectful way, but I have to get my voice out, because if I don't get my voice out now, I work for 2 things: luxury and legacy. The luxury for me is to be able to travel, do some cruising when we can move back again, and the
legacy.
Thank you, girl, because I had lost it. The legacy is that the world will be a better place, first of all, for my grandson who has autism. But I want the world to know that Deborah Thorne was here. And because she was here, these are the things that we see differently. I don't want it to be, because in our community, my son's generation is the first generation to do worse than we did. That's totally unacceptable. Totally unacceptable. Okay.
But we see it everywhere.
Yeah.
Well, that's trying to assimilate into something that you're not supposed to do and help these people figure it out. So, that's what I'm about.
Well, I'm looking at the time here. I want to hear from each of you ladies. What is the one thing, and I know that we all have a lot that we want to do before we close our eyes, but for the furtherance of this year, what are you ladies personally going to do to help raise up another woman?
I think we do that through our podcasts. I mean, that's my podcast is the She's All That. It's like, check her out. And that's when I see women. And I started the podcast because, and the tagline is women doing awesome shit, because I really, like Deborah says, it's not a zero-sum game. We collaborate. Lifting someone up doesn't put you down. And when I would see a woman that was like, oh, look at what she's doing, that's amazing, and I'm so excited about it, the way I describe it is like, oh, this woman is doing awesome shit, and I want to tell the world about her. So my podcast is like that, and that's one way we can do it, is to lift other women up, because I mean, aside from just giving them honor and respect, and we're giving them marketing content.
That's it.
Absolutely. And showing them how to use it. Show them how to use it.
Yes, that's crucial. Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
How about you? What are you going to do?
Well, okay. I too have a podcast. Let's Talk Leverage. And so that's important. But more importantly to me is getting women to write books. I am about women writing books. I do a book collaboration. Right now, we're on the 4th edition of Entrepreneurial Women of Faith. This book is entitled Faith Is, and then women can put their own spin on it. I want people to understand how simple it is with today's technology to put a book out there. I want people writing books. I want to know that women are writing their first book. Because I always ask, have you written your first book yet? No. Okay. If I can show you how to get it done in 90 days, are you interested? Let's get that first book done so that you can go on and write as many more as you want. But get your words out there.
Okay, question for you. How do you help them figure out which story it is should go into that first book?
Start with, that's why I say a collaboration helps. Because if you can start with Faith Is, you can see how easy it is to write a chapter. But you start with whatever story you feel is best, because your first book is not going to be your best book. I don't care who you are. It's not going to be your best. You got to get it out. I do not teach people how to write War and Peace. When you get to 97 pages, you're through. I do not teach you how to become a bestseller, because that's bogus. If you ask me, I'll tell you exactly how it's done. And if you want to do that and spend your time doing that, go ahead. What I want to teach you is how to get your words out, how to get it published. If you have $2.50, we can get a book in your hand. Okay, so don't tell me you don't have no money. Okay, if you don't have $2.50, I'll get $2.50 from Margo. She'll pay for it for you. I want women telling their stories.
So generous, Margo.
It's only $2.
Margo will pay for it.
But I'm thinking about what Deborah said. My book, when I went on 2 cruises before the pandemic hit. And hey, I tucked them away in my suitcase. And the last day, I trotted on over to the library, put my book on in the library, and left out. And hey,
you should have done it on the first day.
No, because if they found it, they'd have put it off the ship. No.
Yeah. Or I don't know. I didn't think about it until the.
But I took a group of women to the Bahamas, and we were giving our books away. One of the people who was a recipient was the principal of a school for the blind. And she said, if you leave your books with us, we will have them translated to Braille. So not only did we donate our books were translated to another language. There's so many opportunities. And I want women writing their stories. If you got more than one story, let's write them all. Let's start with that first one so you can see how easy it is. And you should be writing a book a year.
You gotta get started.
Wow, a book a year. Oh,
yes.
Can we have audio versions of it?
You can do audio. No, see, that's the great part. We have technology. You can speak your book. You're a speaker. Speak the book.
Beautiful.
And then have it transcribed. It's done.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Was it 25 cents an hour or 25 cents a minute? 25 cents a minute to transcribe your book. Come on. Mm-hmm. Never in time has it been like this. And we have to. Yeah. Then we go back, like you said, and show women, and again, I focus mainly on women, how to market it. Because that book is now your podcast, is now a blog,
giveaway.
is now a giveaway, is now
magnet.
One chapter is a lead gen and encourages people to come buy the book. Tons of stuff you can do with it.
I'm looking at the time, ladies.
Yes,
September. Tell us, where do we find your podcast, ma'am?
You can find my podcast on all the podcast platforms that you want to be listening to them on. It's She's All That Video podcast. And I would personally like to use this recording for a podcast, if you don't mind. I would love to have this on the She's All That. And my other podcast is the podcast guesting for business growth. Again, all the platforms. Find me on LinkedIn. If you can't find me, there's not too many September Smiths. There are a few. Look under Margo's Connections and you'll find me.
Right there, really right great. There. And Information Diva, what about yourself? What's going on here?
Okay, our podcast is called Let's Talk Leverage with the Information Diva. And it's supposed to be on all the platforms. We're still working on that, but you can find us on LinkedIn and Facebook and YouTube. So we're there. Just go find us. Anytime you want to reach me, if you're in the United States, it's text Diva to 21,000. But again, I'm on LinkedIn and Facebook. I'm trying to be everywhere where people are.
I'm all those places, but I mostly hang out on LinkedIn. LinkedIn's the other places are kind of like, oh, all right.
I know. Girl, please. Okay.
The neighborhood, we'll just say the neighborhood has changed. We'll just say, But I want to thank Harold Finch for dropping in. He was here for a few minutes. He's a junk that comes from terrestrial radio, has a wonderful, wonderful podcast, wonderful podcast over on YouTube, On the Fence with Finch, Finch. He is fabulous. He has a wonderful voice and he's very probing. So thank you for coming by, Mr. Finch. I appreciate you. And anybody who wants to listen to Her Business, Her Voice, Her Conversation, find it on all of the major platforms. And as always, we'll be back here the last Sunday of, what is next month? April. Woo! I tell you what, my world is going like this. So, ladies, hang on out for a little dessert as I get ready to take us on out of here. I just like to hear, we're just going to share a little dessert. I see we have somebody online. If you have comments, get your comment in real quick because we're about to wrap this puppy up in a few minutes. But if you want to share a comment or something, we'll put it up on the screen. Going once, going twice.
We want to hear your voice.
Yeah,
in text.
Yeah. Okay, I'm getting ready to go to the outro. We're giving you a chance. I see that you're there.
They want to listen. It's okay.
We're not gonna force you. Where's my outro? Oh, shoots. Okay. The background music works really well, doesn't it? Oh my goodness, did I may have deleted it. I've been over here fooling around. I'm telling you all, it's that kind of a month.
Today was a day.
Wait a minute, it's been that kind of a month. I've been in the something. We're not even gonna go through that. Deborah Thorne, September Smith, thank you. A million thank yous, ladies.
Thank you, Margo.
Oh, wow. What good conversation. I said we never talk about politics, but you know what? We really had to. We had to go there. So, okay. I guess this is, we're out of here. See you everybody next month.
Bye.
Bye.
I want to thank you for listening to Her Business, Her Voice, Her Conversation. Couple of things that I want you to do. Right now, go to my website, pick up a copy of Her Business, Her Voice, Her Reinvention, how I went from game show hopping to international show host, author, and speaker in 1 year. Number 2, please freely listen to each and every episode. Share them out with your family, friends, the men in your lives. And then number 3, get in contact with me, one of the experts that have been on the show, because I want to make sure that you reinvent yourself. I'll be back next week with a brand new episode here on Her Business, Her Voice, Her Conversation.